You know, every new medicine, from a simple painkiller to a life-saving vaccine, has to be tested on people. But how do we make sure that's done safely? And how do we know we can trust the results? Well, today, we're going to open up the official rulebook that governs all of it.
I mean, it's a question that's really all about trust, isn't it? When you hear about some amazing new medical breakthrough, how do we know the volunteers in that study were kept safe? How can we be sure the results are even real? It turns out, the answer lies in a single global standard that's the foundation for pretty much all modern medical research. It's called Good Clinical Practice, or GCP for short. You can think of it as the shared language for safety and quality in trials all over the world.
So, what exactly is good clinical practice? Well, it's not just a friendly suggestion. It's an international quality standard for any trial that involves human beings. It's been adopted by major regions like the US, Europe, and Japan, and what that means is data from a trial in one country can actually be trusted in another. It's the rulebook for both the ethics and the science.
Okay, so you can think of GCP as having two big missions that have to work together. First, and this is the most important one, is protecting the people in the trial. Their rights, their safety, their well-being, that's number one, always. The second mission is making sure the data is credible, because honestly, without trustworthy results, what's the point? One mission protects the people, and the other protects the science itself.
So, how does this actually work in practice? I mean, it's not just a document that sits on a shelf somewhere, right? No, it actually sets up a really powerful system of checks and balances, and it's all built on some very clearly defined roles and responsibilities.
The whole framework really rests on three key players, and each one has a totally separate role. Think of it like a three-legged stool. If any one of those legs fails to do its job, the whole trial just loses its balance and its integrity. First up, we have the ethics watchdog. This is the Institutional Review Board, or IRB. It's a totally independent committee with both scientific and non-scientific members, and their only job is to protect the participants. Before a single person can join a trial, this board has to review and approve every little detail. And it's not a one-and-done thing. They keep reviewing the trial at least once a year to make sure everything stays safe. Next, you've got the investigator. This is the doctor on the ground, the person who's actually running the trial at the hospital or the clinic. They are directly responsible for the medical care of everyone in the trial, and this is absolutely crucial for making sure every single person gives their informed consent. They are the front line for patient safety. And the third player is the sponsor. This is the company or the institution that kicks off the trial and pays for it. They're the ones who pick the investigators, they monitor the whole thing to make sure it's following the rules, and they're constantly evaluating the safety of the new drug or device. Ultimately, they take full responsibility for the trial's integrity. The buck always stops with the sponsor. Okay, so with all these players and all these rules, you might be wondering, what's the one thing that holds it all together? What's the absolute, non-negotiable, foundational idea here? The rights, safety, and well-being of the trial subjects are the most important considerations. This, right here, is the ethical bedrock of all clinical research, taken straight from the guidelines. It means that no matter how important the scientific question is, the individual person in the trial always comes first, period. This single idea is what separates ethical research from exploitation. And this core principle is put into action through something called informed consent. And let me tell you, it is not just about signing a form. It's a whole process. First, everything about the trial, the risks, the benefits, all of it has to be fully explained. Second, the person has to have plenty of time to ask questions and get clear answers. And only then, after all that, can they make a truly voluntary decision, which then gets documented in writing.
So when you put it all together, the standard, the players, the principles, what's the real-world impact? Why does having this global rulebook matter so much?
Well, GCP provides clear solutions to these huge historical challenges. Where there were serious ethical concerns, it puts the patient first, no question. Where data used to be all over the place, or just plain unreliable, it creates one standard for credibility and accuracy. And where there was a lack of public trust, it provides that assurance we all need. This system is what allows regulators, doctors, and all of us to trust that the medicines we depend on were tested ethically and rigorously.
But here's the thing. This rulebook has guided us for decades, but it was really written for a paper-based world. Today, clinical trials are using AI, electronic data, remote monitoring, the whole shebang. So we're left with this really critical question. How is this rulebook going to evolve? How do we make sure that as science takes these incredible leaps forward, our commitment to protecting human beings always keeps pace?